My name is Gilbert Wong, the mayor for the City of Cupertino, and we're here at the Quinlan Community Center, Cupertino Room, for a special Cupertino City Council meeting, Thursday, November 6, 2014, at 7 p.m. Could you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. With that, we will have the roll call, and Madam City Clerk.
All council members are present. We also have a quorum of bicycle pedestrian commissioners. Commissioner Chan and Lin are here. Commissioner Heller is on his way. Planning commissioners Takahashi and Sun are in attendance, and Gong is on her way.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. This portion is oral communication. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the Council, Planning Commission, and Bicycle Pedestrian Commission on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. In most cases, state law will prohibit the legislative body from making any decisions with respect to a matter not listed on the agenda. I have two cards that are subjects that are not listed on the agenda. If the two speakers can come up, which is Kathy Holgerson, and the other speaker is Gwendolf Gunu. Kathy?
Hi, my name is Kathy Helgerson, and I want to bring up the Santa Clara County November 20th meeting regarding Lehigh. The planning department is going to be discussing the selenium plant that the Sierra Club won the court case, and Lehigh is supposed to put in a selenium plant to clean up, and they are trying to get out of it. So I would suggest that everyone show up at this meeting. You can get on the web and look this up, and also call Santa Clara County, find out exactly what time it's going to be, put yourself on a listing. There's about 300 people that are on their listing to come to these meetings. It's very important that we do this because there is a lot of selenium in the Permanente Creek that has to be treated. And if they go ahead and decide to put in a new plant, to put in a new quarry, which will destroy 30,000 trees and 600 acres, we better start thinking about what we're going to do. I'm glad this meeting was held because I need to do an outreach now to the public, because the next step is trying to stop them from putting in another quarry and another 80 years of mining limestone to make this concrete and cement that is being mined there. There's dust all over the community. We're ill from this. I'm sure all of you know that there's dust in your homes. It's affecting the air, water, and soil. I suggest that all of you get involved in some way, find out what's going on in your community. And also, if you're wondering why you're ill, sometimes it feels like you have an allergy. It's not. It's from the pollution here from the cement plant and the two quarries. The Stevens Creek Quarry is polluting the reservoir as well. So please look into this and try to help. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Gwendolf.
So I came in August 8, 2013 for a traffic workshop in this area. And since then, I don't think anything has been done. So the question I have is, why those workshops for if nothing happened after 1 year?
So this is we'll be talking in a minute, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that is the cards that I have. So that's a good question. So today is a workshop. It is very tragic of the death of Ethan Wong, who died on last Monday on McClellan Road. And this is an opportunity where we have our stakeholders. We have the city's staff. We have the sheriff's office. We also have representatives from the Cupertino School District, Fremont Union High School District, Foothill De Anza Community College, as well as Recology and many others. So this is an opportunity for the community to outreach toward the city and other stakeholders. And I really appreciate the patience for the folks who's coming out today, as all 5 council members are here, as well as the 2 other commissions. And I want to give this opportunity now, as we have a couple of speakers here before we have our facilitator. So Mr. David Brand, our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Wong. For those who don't know me, my name is David Brand. I'm the Cupertino city manager. I want to thank everybody for coming. Can you hear me now? My name is David Brand. I'm the Cupertino City Manager. I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm especially gratified to see so many young people here because in my experience, we get a lot of very good input and advice from our students, and so I'm expecting some good things tonight. Before we get started into the workshop format, we have Captain Binder from the Sheriff's Office who can give us an update on the investigation on what happened to Ethan Wong the week before Monday. And then following Captain Binder, we have Public Works Director Tim Borden to explain some of the programs that we have in place at the schools already, so that we kind of know where we're starting from. So I want to introduce you to Captain Bender from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, David. Hello. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ken Binder. I'm the West Valley Division Captain for the Sheriff's Office. I oversee law enforcement services within the City of Cupertino. Let me first just say that, can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me now okay? All right. All right, let me just first say that the tragic accident last Monday really has affected us all, even the Sheriff's Office. And a lot of us have children. And I can tell you when I first got into law enforcement 18 years ago with a local police agency, I remember going to work one of the first days, and I went into the locker room and I heard a couple of the other officers joking back and forth, and they were getting ready for work. And it kind of dawned on me, police officers are people too. They're not these super robots. They're not hardened. They're people that put a uniform on, they have a job to do, and they go out there and they do the best they can. So the only reason I share that with you is because this incident really has affected us here in the Sheriff's Office as well, and our hearts really do go out to the family. And I'd also like to say it's just fantastic to see so many people here tonight. It really just does show the level of concern and care that you as a community have, and you're willing to take your personal time to come and help be part of the solution. I don't think there's any one simple, easy answer, but I think the goal here tonight is to get those ideas, to present them for the council, and hopefully see some decisions made moving forward. With regard to the accident itself, I'm very limited on what I can tell you because the fact of the matter is that it still is an open and active investigation. It's still less than 2 weeks old. It happened last Monday and on October 22nd. And really our desire at the Sheriff's Office is to do a complete, thorough, and accurate investigation. We would rather get accurate information out than quick information. We think that the family, Mr. Ethan Wong, deserves that. We believe the community deserves that. So we are taking our time to make sure that we do it right. We're following protocol and procedure, and we're looking at every possible investigative lead that we can take to gather as many facts as we can, and hopefully there's enough information to be able to make a determination regarding exactly what happened. In order to do that, the Sheriff's Office has done everything in our power in this investigation. I can tell you that there were over a dozen deputies that responded and worked on the scene last week on Monday. Actually, at one point we were up to 16. We also initiated our STARS team, and that stands for Sheriff's Traffic Accident Reconstruction Specialist. And this is a team that the Sheriff's Office has made up of deputies with specialized training that are able to go to these types of very serious fatal collisions in order to do a reconstruction, again, a full and thorough investigation. We also sent what we call our Leica team. And up until recently, the Sheriff's Office was the only law enforcement agency in this county with a Leica device. It's a forensic mapping system. It actually costs over $100,000. It's a very expensive piece of equipment, but what it does is it takes thousands of data points at the scene, it takes photographs, and it puts it all together so that investigators can go back and see exactly what the scene looked like at the time we arrived. Obviously, we can't go back in time to the actual accident itself, but it is a very good collection of data that assists. We also had a commercial enforcement deputy that we sent on scene. And I don't know how many people are aware within Cupertino, but the City Council has funded a position for commercial enforcement deputy. And that's the strict focus of that particular deputy is the commercial vehicle traffic through Cupertino. Again, there's specialized training. They do enforcement of the commercial vehicles going through the city. And that's what their expertise and focus is, and we used that deputy as well. With regard to the accident itself, I can tell you that on Monday, October 27th at 8:18 a.m., our dispatch received a 911 call regarding the accident. We already had a deputy in the area. We do a lot of enforcement in that area. The closest deputy received the call at 8:19. Responded and was on scene at 8:19, so less than 60 seconds into the call. Since this tragedy, obviously it's just human tendency to want answers, to look to see what the reasons are, sometimes to speculate. I know one of the speculations is that maybe there wasn't enough enforcement being done in this particular area. I looked at our statistics for citations along McClellan Road, and what I learned, and this was last week, since January of 2012, the Sheriff's Office has actually issued over 1,600 citations. In fact, 1,639 to be exact. So we're out there. We are absolutely conducting enforcement. We averaged over 48 citations per month just in that particular area alone. So we're out there, we're doing our job, and we're doing the enforcement. So when deputies were on scene, they began conducting their investigation. I think it's well known now with the public that the driver was not aware of this collision when it occurred and had to be flagged down by witnesses after the scene. We did make contact, obviously, with the driver. The driver has been 100% cooperative with the Sheriff's Office. In fact, I'm told he has a 14-year-old child, and he was pretty shaken up. But the deputies are still conducting the investigation. I can tell you that preliminarily, we do not believe that alcohol, drugs, or prescription drugs played a factor in this collision. We did take blood at the scene, and we are still waiting for the confirmation of that with the blood analysis with our lab. I know there was also a lot of questions about whether or not the commercial truck was allowed to be in the area. And without going into the details of this particular case, that still is under investigation. But I can tell you that the city is reviewing the facts of the case, that the municipal code does require commercial vehicles to stay along truck routes when driving through the city. However, there are exceptions for pickup and drop-off deliveries. With regard to traffic safety, there's no one single solution. We kind of take at least a three-pronged approach to traffic safety, and there's something that we call the 3 E's, and that's enforcement, engineering, and education. I already touched a little bit on enforcement. In fact, last year alone, we issued almost 12,000 citations within Cupertino. So the enforcement is most definitely there. Engineering, the Public Works Department will probably touch on that a little bit, and hopefully I didn't steal too much of what you were going to say. And then the last piece is education. And with regard to education, I can tell you that Cupertino has obtained a COPS grant, and they use this funding along with some funding from the schools and funding from the city itself to pay for 2 full-time school resource officers. The school resource officers are within the schools. They do a range of education within the schools, and part of that really is about traffic safety, bicycle safety, pedestrian safety, and trying to help the kids to be safe. Not only do they do those classes within each of the schools, but the SROs also put on a juvenile traffic diversion class, and that's a monthly class where juveniles who receive citations on bicycles are able to go to this class, get safety information, learn, and then have the citation dismissed. Last thing regarding education that I'll mention, the city itself put on a bike rodeo just last month on October 4th. The school resource officers were one of many different units that were part of that. And the school resource officers also put on bike rodeos within Cupertino schools themselves throughout the school year. One of the last things that I want to say is that traffic safety is everyone's responsibility. It's the motorist's responsibility, it's the bicyclist's responsibility, it's pedestrian responsibility. I've looked at some of the data for juvenile bicycle accidents over the last 2 years, and I can tell you that 2/3 of the time, it's the fault of the bicyclist. So the bicyclists really need to follow the rules of the road. Parents, yeah, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, and then motorists have a responsibility to pay attention to the road. Please stay off your cell phones. And then finally, pedestrians. You can no longer just look both ways and then cross the street. Pedestrians really need to try to make eye contact with the driver so that you can see that they see you. And that's part of the solution, is for everyone to really pay attention out there and make safety a priority. So I don't have all the answers. I don't think any one person has all the answers, but I'm very, very grateful for this workshop tonight, that the city council and the city staff have put this together, so that my hope is that some very good ideas so that some very good ideas will come through, and that we'll be able to make a difference. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tim Borden. I'm the Director of Public Works. A lot of what I was going to say, and I will still say, were covered by Captain Bender, and that really signifies how close of a team this needs to be to make some of the improvements that Captain Bender was speaking about, whether it's education, whether it's engineering and actually changing the built environment, or encouraging some of these new behaviors, or enforcement. So it really is a team, and tonight the community becomes a big part of that team. I'm sorry to be here under such a horrible shadow of the tragedy from last week, but I am very much encouraged by the positive energy of the community to make our city safer. Tonight and into the future, I look forward to raise the discussion, change attitudes, make improvements, and change behaviors when it comes to traffic safety. And that's traffic meaning cars, bikes, and pedestrians. While tonight's focus will be to look forward and make near-term and long-term changes to the physical environment, awareness, and behaviors, I do want to let you know that what the city, the sheriff's office, and the schools have done in the recent past. On our website that we've been covering for this meeting tonight, if you go to cupertino.org/community workshop, there is a couple of documents on there. One is a listing of the recent improvements that we have made, whether it's programs like Walk One Week or changes to the physical environment like pedestrian beacons and changes to the striping. There's also some things that we hope to do in the very near term, which is put what we call bike sharrows on the street. Those are stripes that really indicate that bikes and cars share the road. And we're also looking at some more of the green bike lanes that you've seen over on Stevens Creek Boulevard recently. Also, we have been reading and logging all of the emails that have been coming in through our Access Cupertino website, into our traffic engineering division, into all the mayor and all the council members' email addresses, and lots of very good suggestions. We've logged those up to probably close to 100 of those now. We do intend to put those into categories and make responses to all of them. You'll also find the beginnings of a frequently asked question paper on that same website that I referred to. So you can go in and find some of the facts of some of the questions you may have tonight, but there's a lot more that need to be placed on there. A lot of them will come from some of the comments and questions that you have tonight and some of the solutions. Let's see. I'll ask our public information officer to answer that just before I leave here. The last thing I want to direct you to before I turn it over to our facilitator for the night is the poster that kind of reiterates what Captain Bender was talking about the 4 E's. So part of the table work that you'll be doing with the facilitator is to come up with some potential solutions. And I want you not just to think of physical solutions, but also the education, the awareness, the enforcement, and things that everyone can do. Because it's not just one thing; it's going to be lots and lots of things that are really going to be able to improve the safety of our streets and reduce the risk of accidents occurring. So with that, is Rick? So our facilitator is going to address that. So she's going to lead us through that. But I just do want to say one thing. We're not going to take this back and put it into a bureaucratic analysis. We do want to make some very, very near-term improvements. Some things won't be as feasible. Some things may be long-term. But there's things that we want to be able to do very quickly. Yes, we don't have a date for sure, but we will be addressing that.
If I could, there was one question about where people can send their information. There was a question about where to send your information. There was the URL that Director Borden had given you, which was cupertino.org/community workshop. All the most current information that we will have will be on that location. You can also send emails, if that's how you like to go, to publicinformation@cupertino.org. We prefer, frankly, to capture all the ideas and all the input that we can from this evening and from subsequent meeting, and certainly any input that anybody has afterwards. So that if you can go to Access Cupertino, it's a special portal the city has. It captures it, it timestamps it, and it really helps us keep track of everything that we get from everybody. And that's really what we want to do. And depending on what happens at this meeting, I think that will determine how long it takes us to act on the ideas that we get tonight. So cupertino.org/community workshop, and we want to hear what you have to say. I tell you what, we're going to hand it over to our facilitator. And Eileen, if you could move us on from here.
Okay, we're going to get Rick to go talk to you right now about the site. He's the public information officer. All right, well, thank you very much. My name is Eileen Goodwin. I am the facilitator this evening. I do this work throughout Northern California, and I am, again, just as the Director of Public Works just said, Tim, sad to be here under these circumstances and very impressed at the nice turnout that you have this evening. I'm going to ask, as I ask Larry to come forward, Larry Dean has a special announcement he wants to make that is important for beginning your work. But I see a lot of people gathered over here. And sometimes people gather because they're just observers and they do not want to participate. But this is the time that if you would like to participate, I would like to get you to move in and take seats at the table, because we are going to work for the next hour at tables. And I'm going to be closing down any table that has less than 6 people. Yes, sir? And they will be. And let me explain the format on how that will happen. But I just want to because it's awkward sometimes, I'm giving permission for those of you who are standing around wondering, when do I get to move in? And we can see we've got a lot of people who are asking to do that. So thank you. And please fill up. I want 6 or more at a table. Thank you. And does every single table have a city staff person at it? City staff person, please stand up. City staff person should have a name tag. We're missing, okay, we got a staff person there. We need a staff person here in the front. I'll get you after we get all this done. Okay, city staff people, there are so many people here. You are probably going to need to be the recorder as well as the facilitator. And I'm giving city staff people the moment right now as well to go get your easels. We specifically held the easels back so everyone could see the sheriff, the city manager, and the public works director. But I'm a little less important, so let's get those easels in so you can get comfortable and get those set up. All right, so once you have an easel and a staff person, if I could ask you to please be quiet again so I can have Larry make his very interesting, exciting announcement. And then I will get us the rules of what we're going to be doing this evening, and I will answer some of the questions that have already been asked about what happens to the information, what are we doing, how are we going to be heard, etc. Okay, so I'm still hearing voices. I need quiet, so we'll get Larry to speak. Okay, thank you. Staff person, we need a staff person with gentleman with his hand up. There should be plenty of staff people. If you have 2 staff at one table, I need a staff person to move on to the table that has no staff person. Any other table missing a city staff person? We need an easel and a staff person at every table. Okay? Okay, looks like you've got it. Larry, if you would come center stage. So I think you'll want to be quiet so you can hear Larry's announcement. It's very exciting and very timely.
Eileen, thank you. My name is Larry Dean. I'm a board member trustee of the Cupertino Educational Endowment Foundation, or CEF. I'm sure many of you know about CEF. It has given CUSD schools over $17 million in the last 30 years. In response to the tragic event last week, I'm pleased to announce that on behalf of the Board of Trustees of CEF, that CEF will grant $6,500 to the Cupertino Union School District in the form of a grant designated to promote bicycle and pedestrian safety. All of the 25 elementary and middle schools within the district will receive funds allocated towards this urgent need. Each school within CUSD is challenged by a variety of safety issues on their campuses, although these issues are neighborhood specific. Given this diversity, principals will be allowed to determine locally how to best promote safety on their campuses through this grant, i.e. student and parent safety education and the purchase of safety vests, etc. We support the local community in taking a proactive approach in encouraging a safe living environment for all of our students and community members. Thank you so much, and have a good, productive evening.
Thank you, Larry. That's very generous, and what's very interesting about that is it makes all the kind of conversation we're about to have that much more real, because you will be giving resources to the schools to help implement some of the ideas that you're going to have this evening. So we have about 2 hours together, and the first hour, what we would like to do is to have the tables work amongst themselves. There's literally hundreds of you here, and what we would like to do first is have you work with the map and have the city staff help keep record by using the flip charts. And you're first going to talk about where are the hot spots, where are the trouble spots. And I'm going to be giving more detail in just a moment, but you're going to go through basically citywide to the neighborhood down to your streets. And I'm going to be keeping time, and really you're only going to have about 10 minutes per topic. Then we're going to we're gonna talk about, exactly, we're gonna ask you to introduce yourselves to each other. We're gonna ask you to identify how many of you ride bikes, how many of you walk regularly or jog, how many of you are mostly in your cars. We're then gonna turn around and also spend the second half hour of our first hour, and we're gonna solve some of the problem spots that you have identified. So we're gonna ask you to then look at your street and what would make that a better situation. And as Tim said, you can talk about education, you can talk about a project, you can talk about enforcement. We're going to have this all captured. Then we're going to talk about the neighborhoods, and we're going to talk about citywide. So we're expecting and hoping that the neighborhood topic is the one where you're really going to be talking about your schools, about the parks, about the places you go regularly in your immediate neighborhoods. Citywide is for those errands that you might run, the places you might go for dinner or Flint Center or Target or wherever. If you're seeing things there, that's what we mean by citywide. And street, I think, is obvious. It's your street, but it doesn't have to be the block that you live on. It could be a little broader than that. We're very interested in hearing what are the hot spots, what are some solutions you have. Then, our second half hour, we're going to ask you each to appoint someone from your table, not the city staff person, to report out what happened, what was the conversation at your table, and what are the best ideas that are coming out of your table. We are going to be taking all of the ideas, and if you have some more information to give us that really didn't quite get up on these minutes, you've all been given index cards. That's what they're for, to give us more information, to leave them with us so that we can add to the body of work. And the question was, what's going to happen to all this work? Well, what's going to happen is the city staff are going to collect all of this from all of your groups, and they're going to categorize it, and they are going to be in front of the city council on December 3rd. And they will be giving a report to the city council where they go through all of your ideas, all the hotspots, all the potential solutions, and they're going to give a report out to the city council. That is also probably going to be a night where they're going to be explaining what's already been implemented or in the pipeline, what perhaps from some of your ideas maybe can't be implemented because there may be some laws or something that would need to be changed before they could be implemented, and then what are some of the longer term solutions that you've identified that might need some additional community meetings. So that's why some of the next meetings haven't been set yet, because we don't know where your solutions are going to go, and some of them may be very easy, as Tim said, to get put in place. Other ones are going to need to have additional meetings. But definitely the December 3rd date is a date that you want to be watching for, and you can see that report online at the website that Tim gave you. So you'll be able to see that information before the council meeting. You're certainly welcome to go to the council meeting. I think we have a question. Is it a process question? So one way you can voice your issue is to become the person who speaks out for your table, and I would hope and expect that you'll participate. You certainly are welcome to give. The question is, how does a person give unfiltered input? That's another reason for the cards. And we will have the city staff as well as the council members and mayor, after we adjourn the formal part of our meeting, they will be staying after and certainly available to take your comments. But this is a little bit different format. It is not, line up and do a city council meeting, 2 minutes for everybody kind of a format, because we knew there was going to be a lot of people. And we also know that we wanted to get out of everyone really the specific situation that they're referring to, and that's why it's so helpful to have the maps and have interaction amongst yourselves to clarify things and brainstorm and come up with some solutions. So, I'm sure at future city council meetings you're welcome to go and speak to the topic when it's agendized, but this is how this meeting is set up this evening. So let me go back and give you a little bit more of how the first part's going to work. So you should each have 3 different colors. Everybody's got blue, red, and green. And our code is that citywide concerns are going to be identified in green on the map. And what we'll be doing also is taking pictures of all of your maps so that we can see if there's patterns that are evolving. Then blue is for the neighborhood, and red is for your street or a more localized issue that you see, and that might be something like trees trimming or debris in the bike lane, that sort of thing. So before we start, and I'm going to give you, as I said, about 10 minutes. I'll be keeping time. We'll also be floating around, so if you need some technical assistance or something, put your hand up. We'll come and help you out. But before you get going, one of the other things we really want to do this evening is to have you meet each other. And to that lady's point, learn about how many of you are biking and riding, et cetera. So I'm going to ask the recorders and the city staff to ask each of you to go around your table, give your first name, give the neighborhood you're from, and talk about how you get around town and what's your frame of reference. And then if the recorders could just keep a little track of that, we don't need to say Bill from McClellan Bikes, but it would be nice to know that we had 5 regular bike riders at that table, that sort of thing. So also it's tight quarters, so I'm going to ask you if you can to not yell, because that just makes the table next to you yell. And then pretty soon nobody can hear anybody. So be respectful of one another, listen for my time. So I'm going to be moving you along through these topics, and we're very, very interested in hearing what you have to say. The report outs, for those of you who are going to be the reporters, you probably, because there's about 20 plus tables in here, and for an hour that gives you each about 3 minutes, which is a lot longer when you're in front of the room than it sounds, and especially after we've gone through several of the tables. I will also be calling on the tables not in any kind of like 1, 2, 3 order. I'm just going to be randomly calling on tables, so you can't possibly guess when your table's going to go. That forces you to kind of pay attention to what other people are saying. So with that, I'm going to have you first introduce yourselves, first name, street, and how you get around town mostly, and then I'll give you a time start for talking about what are the hot spots citywide, and then we'll move into neighborhood, and then move into street. Does anybody have any process questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll begin on the introductions. I'll come over and talk to you. Thank you. That's great. All right, so as I mentioned before, we're going to get everybody's table an opportunity to be heard. I'm going to ask the people to come forward. I'll either hold the mic or give you the mic, but it's definitely important that you have the mic. And bring forward a map or your flip chart or whatever it is that you will need for your notes. Each table's going to get about 3 minutes. And I will warn you that if you're one of the later tables, a lot of your ideas probably will potentially be given already. So it's perfectly fine to say ditto on most of what was said, but here's our 2 new things. And then I'm going to ask the first 3 or 4. Again, you only have 3 minutes. If you could really try and keep your comments to the really maybe 5, 6 big ideas that came out of your table. Do not try and list all 30 pages that your scribe has given us. Remember, we are keeping all of the flip charts. We are keeping your maps. And I had an opportunity to go around and look at all the maps, and there's some big similarities, and some of you got into very creative solutions. So I'm very curious to start to hear those. So I'm going to let you know who's on the on-deck circle. As I promised, we're going to be jumping around, so you're just going to have to go with me on the flow. And I'm going to start with this table right here because you're nice and close, and please come on. And then I'm going to say there's 4 tables in the back. Okay, you four, somebody's got to go second. Do we have somebody to volunteer to go second from the back of the room? Please come on down, whoever your group is, and remember, we have community people reporting out, not city staff. Now, if you need a helper, you can, ask your city staff person to hold the flip chart or whatever. So we've got table 1 reporting out, number 2 from the back of the room, and I'm going to have number 3, you're number 3, okay? And then you're number 4. Okay, so now we've got 4 people, and then I'll come back in a couple speeches, and then I'll pick a couple more so you can kind of get in the on-deck circle and we can keep this going. So with that, I'm going to hand you yours. I'm going to get my iPhone. Notice that I'm using an iPhone because I'm here in Cupertino, and I know you people are Applers. So I'm going to be pressing that for 3 minutes, and thank you so much for volunteering to go first.
And thank you for facilitating. And thank you all for coming tonight. I know we're all horribly busy, but this is a terribly important topic, and I'm glad we're all able to be here and spend some time on it. My name is Martin, and I'm representing the table here, which includes my daughter Athena and other daughter Jasmine and wife Leanna, and Kevin, who joins us from Sunnyvale, who brought some fantastic ideas. So I want to get on to the solutions since I know we have a short amount of time. The things that we think we came up with at our table is at areas of high pedestrian crossing, pedestrian traffic, to use crosswalks that have the blinking lights on the street and the blinking lights that have signage up above. I think we have something like that over here in Quinlan. More of those in the areas that need more, have more pedestrian crossings. We identified a number of areas across the city that we felt were important. I think everyone has their own individual maps, so I won't focus on those areas geographically. We can all look at each other's maps later. Some of the other areas, I'm going to use my daughter's notes here. Thank you, Athena. The green bike paths, we like those, and we'd like to see more of those. There are apparently some areas in, I guess, the Blackberry Farm area where the streets are being paved irregularly and have lots of potholes, and so the thought was to make sure those get addressed and are consistent in their fixing. Let's see here, crossing guards at each school. We just asked the question, does every elementary and middle school have crossing guards? We don't know, and if they don't, why not? Let's get them in there. Apparently, Sunnyvale is doing a lot of good work here in defining traffic calming measures and making crosswalks more visible. Doing this in citywide, they have ordinances that define when a street gets updated, how much of that street is allocated for safety measures. In fact, that's the first priority. As Kevin mentioned, when a street gets updated in Sunnyvale, the first thing they think about is how much space do we need to allocate to each mode of transportation in order for each of those modes to have safety first, and then they think about how much throughput and can there be parking and that sort of thing. Let's see, Kevin also mentioned to us a tool called PBCAT. This is a pedestrian bike crash analysis tool that comes out of NHTSA, and is used and allows analysis of pedestrian collisions. This is another point that Kevin brought up to us, is that many times collisions are referred to as accidents, and this implies that they're random and nothing can be done about them, but a simple mind change, a simple mindset change is to refer to these instead as collisions, because there's probably something that can be done to address every collision, and calling it an accident seems to imply or gets across the point that, well, it couldn't be helped. Well, everything can probably be helped. Let's see. Let me see if we have other points I want to get across. I welcome help from our table if there's something else you think that... Oh, I'm out of time anyway, so that's good enforcement of the time. Thank you.
That was extremely well done, and you can see how long 3 minutes really is. I do want to point out we are taping everything, so if some of you don't want to be on TV, maybe you shouldn't be the person reporting out from your table. So with that, the people from the back of the room, you're group number 2, come on down. And we've got group number 3, and hopefully group number 4 is making its way down forward. Okay, group number 2. Please introduce yourself, and you've got 3
I am Raj, and I am representing our group here. So I'm beginning with our immediate neighborhood, the street and the schools. The street and then the schools. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So I'm Raj, and I'm representing our group. So here you can see in our neighborhood the street and then the schools, which is basically representing the Lincoln, Kennedy, Monta Vista, even the Rignot is there. So one of the problems that we are here talking about is more capacity to the lanes, the McClellan lane. McClellan becomes just a parking lot where the commuters, the people who are going to the work as well as the school commuter, all competing for that westbound lane, basically westbound road. Whereas there is, we can say that there is not much capacity, but then still, there is a middle lane there. If we can extend that, in the McClellan, even the one that is coming from the Monta Vista side towards the Bub Road, and then the one going from the Sterling towards the Bub Road. If we can extend its capacity by adding one more lane, but there is no lane, there is already a lane, the middle lane, probably we should just allow that thing to be 2 lanes. Okay, that will kind of avoid a lot of congestion there. And the other thing is, banning the big rigs, obviously. That will be very much helpful. We have to put explicit signs as part of enforcement. So that will help this traffic from getting inside. And the other thing is, we also talked about this, educating the students basically. Definitely even the teenagers, high school kids, they are still young. Sharing the road is something, even though they know that, they know the rules, but they may not be that reflexive, and they may be thinking about something. So that is something to educate. And then the other one is basically the lanes. And then other thing is about the school buses. Is it possible in that perimeter, that is whole thing is a red area, basically the McClellan, Bub, that is whole is red, hot red in the morning as well as in the evening. Is it possible in the perimeter of that whole, all these 3 schools to leave, say, like buses, maybe 7:30 to 8:30? Is it possible for some school buses to be there, like just 4 buses, okay? If they just, for instance, at the junction of Sterling and McClellan, the bus comes and stops, the kids come there. The city provides a facility for bikes to be parked there. So kids can just go and park the bike there and then just get into the bus. Okay, that will, every 10 minutes, even 3 buses, right? They will solve most of the problem. And also backing up. And then finally, in this case, the Rose Blossom and the Sterling and McClellan, that is south of Deonza. There should be a signal. There is a lot of close calls because students crossing the road, and even the kids going to Kennedy, Monta Vista, they want to cross that place, right? Many cars, they don't even see them. There is a pole there. So is there a way we can put a signal there in the Rose Blossom and McClellan that will help alleviate a lot of problems? That is one thing. And then obviously the 2 lanes will reduce the problem. And one more thing is coordinate the school start time, basically all the schools. And finally, on this side, on the neighborhood, finish the sidewalks. Okay, there is a sidewalks there on the Bayern and the McClellan. That is something that we have to complete. That is one thing. And riding on the sidewalk, because kids, they are afraid. Basically, there is a reason why the kids are not going on the sidewalk, because that is against the rule, against the law of the city. So at least in these kind of hotspot locations, the kids should be allowed to ride on the sidewalks, and they should not be cited for that one. That is something that will be highly helpful.
You're over by about a minute. Thank you. Okay, next group. I really like how this group had both education as well as some other solutions, encouragement of riding transit and that sort of thing. Group number 3. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Noel and live in the community like pretty much everyone here. There are times when I do ride my bike. There are times when I do ride the bike with my kid to school and make sure that he's looking out for the things that he should be looking out for. So some of the things that we came up with our share the road signs between bikes and cars, because some of the roads inside some of the roads are kind of narrow. There's really no room for a bike lane there. On the same line of thought, we sharing the sidewalks between bikes and pedestrians. We thought of well-trained crossing guards that are trained for both safety and traffic control. Some visibility tools for pedestrians. So, for example, they might have an orange flag as they cross the street. A bigger solution might be to just stop all traffic at certain times so that pedestrians have the full access to the intersection. And intersection barriers or guidelines so that cars can know, to leave room for bicycles as they're turning. Some other neighborhood size potential solutions are sheriffs visible to traffic control. Carpooling for school commuters, which we can actually start doing that now. Limiting or banning truck traffic during school traffic times. Signage to direct trucks so that they know where to avoid high congestion areas. And school buses and shuttles to limit traffic around schools. Thank you.
Nice job. All right, I'm going to ask the Boy Scout table to please get your person on the on-deck circle, and the people over there. You're going to be right after the Boy Scout table. As we bring up, now we've got a lady, thank you. I'm glad we're getting some female power coming up to the front. I was getting a little worried. So good to see that. And I've been asked to remind everyone because there's a question, or maybe some of you came a little bit later. I know there are people who snuck in. What's happening with all of this information? And what's going to happen, just to refresh your memory, is we're taking all the notes, all the maps, everything that's said, everything that's on your tables, everything that's on a card, and the staff will be pulling that all together into a spreadsheet, and they will be categorizing everything that can be done in the near term, what's already done, what might not be possible to be done for something that's out of their control, like ordinances and that sort of thing, and then what could be more of a longer term project. So they will be bringing that information back in December. I was told it was early December, as you heard me say. Then I was told it's the 16th, but now I'm finding out that it's a little wiggly because evidently you have a very close council election, and the counting that's being done impacts when the council meetings are going to be. So please just know you need to check the website, because all this information will be available for you to look at, and definitely that meeting will be noticed so that you can come and attend and see the discussion. So I just wanted you to know that this is not going into a file drawer. This is going to actually be acted upon, and you're doing a great job getting great suggestions. So with that, ladies.
Thank you. My name is Mathingi, and I'm joined by Lata and Christina and our great table over there. A lot of our the problems that we came up with, I think we've all come up with. So we represent Bragnart, Kennedy, Monta Vista, and also Cupertino Middle School, Cupertino High School. And so within just between Bragnart, Kennedy, Monta Vista, and Lincoln, we were doing the numbers on the number of kids who attend these schools. So we're talking 5,000 children who are being transported to these schools within a span of, an hour, hour and a half or so. So we really concentrated on that area where Bub, McClellan, Rainbow, and Stelling. So one of our main concerns was garbage truck pickup days on Bub, where the kids are trying to maneuver between the garbage bins. So we would love to see the pickup day for garbage on Bub move to, say, Saturday, so residents have plenty of time to bring their bins back in before Monday, before school begins. And then the other problem we see is there are very dim lights, especially on that the crossing area that the group before us pointed out, just across from Dan's on McClellan and Rose Blossom. So it's really hard to see pedestrians and bikers when they're crossing, and that's true for a lot of the areas, I think, within the city. So we would love to see brighter streetlights, especially at the crosswalks. And again, we had the same ditto about restricting or banning the commercial trucks in the neighborhoods. And we also want to And so we also want to educate parents in terms of make people aware of exactly how often all of these incidences happen. So perhaps a weekly email to all the parents saying, you know what, all of these accidents happened this week, so that parents are aware, oh, okay, how often it's happening, so that they do slow down. We would also like to, for solutions, we wanted to widen the streets. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, within our table, we had about 7 families. Of the 7 families, 3 of us have had kids biking who've been hit by cars while they're biking. So we were a very enthusiastic group to try to find a solution. So we wanted trucks off the road, and we wanted to widen the streets, school buses, and then no high-density development. Because then we have more traffic, more kids. And then we also want to have also the SEAF money. So we thought we would love to get blinkers for the kids' bikes and their backpacks, but then we realized the SEAF money wouldn't fund every kid in the CUSD. So with that, perhaps reflective tape to put on their backpacks so that they're visible. And then we also wanted, stagger the school drop-off times. And also we were thinking, we also wanted to make the 4 streets in that area, so Rainbow, Bub, Stelling, McClellan, make it a one-way street, so half of it is for cars, the other half is for bikes, and so it's a wider area for all the bikers and walkers out there, and a better coordination between school districts and City Hall.
Fantastic. Very creative ideas. Now we'll get the scouts and the people following the scouts. Anybody in the middle want to go? Okay, with the hand up there, and you'll follow her. Okay, gentlemen, who's going to speak? There you go.
Hi, I'm Avinash. This is Anuj. This is Sahas. That's Gaurav. To start off with, we thought that we could use some crossing guards in areas where it's trafficked by a lot of kids, particularly near schools. We thought we'd have one at the Rainbow Bub intersection, right? Just like over there, pretty much. We also thought we should have one at Pumpkin and Bub. That one's right across from Kennedy, where us 3 go, so we understand that's an issue. We also thought that another problem is that people leave out their trash cans out on the curb, and there isn't a lot of space for bikes, particularly on Bub. I go down that road every day, and there isn't too much space in the bike lane as is. So we thought that it would be a good idea if people would only leave out their trash cans in the afternoon or after the school day, or at least after the commute. We also thought that there should be an additional bike path at the railroad tracks, because right now the path there is pretty uneven. It's pretty bad to go down on any form of vehicle. Oh yeah, one more thing. We thought that the VTA, those vehicles should come more frequently, so you don't have to wait as long.
Wow. What a very, very poised presentation. I do want to mention, since he just mentioned the VTA, that we do have a representative here from the VTA, and she's prepared to stay after. She's right under the clock. She's prepared to stay after we adjourn. If somebody wanted to go talk to her directly, she's got comment cards and other things that she can help answer questions about that. So nice work. Okay, next group. Is he our speaker, or are you doing it?
We're going to share.
Okay.
We'll speak
All
a little
righty.
bit. Do you want to start off?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yep.
Hi, good evening. My name is Nitin Khanna, and on our group we had Rod, Wallace, Jonas, Suzanne, Shubha, Nuta, and Kristen. And a lot of things have been said already, but I think one of the other novel ideas that our group came up with was this concept of a walking school bus. Essentially what it means is you've got two parent volunteers walking kids, younger kids at least, ones that are close by, over to school. So you just volunteer and have groups join in, but it's like a school bus, but with kids walking home there. The other thing we talked about was really bike safety, and really having a published document of some sort that kids can go to understand things like what happens if the bike lane is blocked, if there's somebody in the bike lane, if your intersection is blocked, and rules around sidewalks. And so if we can do this in the schools, we can probably even issue a bike safety permit that the kids would get, and then they can keep with themselves, so they've at least taken some things. We talked also about staggering school time, especially on Wednesdays, when Kennedy and Monte Vista go together. Another idea that we talked about was around sidewalks, but also about dedicating sidewalks to pedestrians and bikers, so you could have opposite ends, and so bikers can use the sidewalks as well if they need to, going up towards the schools, and the pedestrians can walk on the other end, so that we don't intersect with them. Last one is really about having our cops be more visible especially when we're going in the mornings. I know they are around, we do see them, but they're often in the 7-Eleven parking lots giving tickets, and we'd love to have them be more visible, so that it's more of a deterrent rather than people getting tickets.
We had a couple of other ideas, and one of them was to extend the school libraries before and after school library hours, before and after school, so that parents could drop off at 7:30. We're not all getting there really early. We thought that the city could investigate some free shuttles that maybe could drop children off to nearby parks, and parents could pick up children at parks, and maybe the city library after school, and maybe before school. We also would like to see the backpacks being lightened, because lots of kids that would like to walk, they just can't carry all that. Now, the schools have done a really terrific job about not sending textbooks home, but I don't know about your children, but my kids go to school with a binder that is this big, and I think the schools really need to stop copying loads of paper that goes into these binders. They should all be on iPads or whatever, something comparable, because the kids have to take their gym clothes every day because they don't have lockers. They take a lunchbox every day. So really getting these binders down really small or getting them out would be great. Those were our ideas.
Okay, my lady in stripes, and she's followed by the table. Are they on the on-deck circle? Okay, you're following her. And then how about over there? We've got the very back. The very back will be third, and then we'll take this Giants table down front, and then we'll do the other Giants table, even though you're all wearing orange, but nobody's got the Giants logo on, so you're going to have to share there. Okay, here we go.
Our table, we want to focus on solutions, and there's a lot of them, as you can see, and some of them has been already spoken, and we're going to go through the ones that we think are important and that haven't been spoken yet. Our whole table took a vote. It really feels like the schools district needs to step up. There's a lot of things that they can do. Now, having said that, though, they all need to step up, but they need to work with the city. They need to work with the city and the community. So it's like a stool. It has 3 prongs that are going to be really stable and make everyone safe. So parking lots. Parking lots are a disaster in all of our schools, and I'm sure everybody has experienced that. We need volunteers or people in the parking lots to help direct traffic. If we can keep the traffic flowing and going and safe, it will benefit everyone. Benefit the parents coming in and the kids riding. The other thing is curb protected bike lanes was something that we all talked about. Curb protected bike lanes will help the new rider stay straight and well seen. Let's see, what else? A bike boulevard down the road Orange. That road is too narrow for two-way traffic. If half of it was, and it serves a big population just behind the post office, and kids already use it. So let's make that a one-way street, and on the other side, a bike lane. And let's make it more than 3 feet. Why not? Directing traffic that way is a good thing, and a lot of cities do that, and it works. We're going to say this again: truck moratorium during school. Period. Trucks and bikes and trucks and cars and trucks and pedestrians do not mix. That's all there is. We have a lot of existing trails that we can use. Each one of our communities have some trail that's not used, that can be used. We have a golf course that we can bring all those kids from the other side of the golf course right into our schools, 3 schools. Monte Vista, Kennedy, and Lincoln, right? Lincoln. We can use Rancho. There is a bike lane in Rancho that has been blocked with a gate. And we go there, and I found it because I was trying to find a way to take my kids to school, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a gate, and there's a lock, and I'm sitting behind it going, excuse me, can you unlock this? And the guy's like, oh no, I can't do that. So I just think that's unfair. We can use those existing trails. We can use the creeks. We can use the railroad tracks. A train, 1 time a day, goes on those railroad tracks. Why can't we use them all the other times? Why not? All the kids already do. I guess I'm done. Let me just do this quick because I want to make sure everyone got their business down. Is there anything else in the group? Okay, city buses, city buses, city buses, good places where they stop, free transportation to our students, and give them incentive to ride their bike, and disassent them, is it disassent? Them if they ride their cars to school, their beautiful cars to school. Disincentive it. Charge them parking like they do in San Francisco. Then we'll pay for the bike lanes. It's perfect. Thank you.
Nice job. Very nice job. So we got one of the E's, encouragement, and she put a disencouragement, I guess. All right, come on down, please. And then we have our Giants people going next. And then I'm going to ask the gentleman back there who asked me about reporting out. Is your table ready to go? The one who had the question about how are we going to get to talk? I would like you to go after our Giants people. And then I see a hand over here, this lady with the bow. You're after the gentleman in the back, and then I'll get to some of the rest of you. Is it 3 minutes? 3 minutes. Okay.
Hi, my name's Charlene Liu, and I live, I'm a parent here, and my kids bike all the time. I also do, and I'm representing a table where we're all parents or community members, and either our kids or ourselves are pretty much car-free. I myself, I'm car-free, and I bike to work, and my kids bike to school. So I've actually been hit by a car, rear-ended, and my daughter on another occasion was rear-ended as well, so I am very concerned about bike safety. Our solutions as a collective group, somebody mentioned already, but I just want to underscore it, this bike path along the railroad tracks that's parallel to Stelling was brought up a few times at our table. And to allow bikes to bike on sidewalks, somebody mentioned that, but I also want to say bike the wrong way on sidewalks, because sometimes you can't go down the right way on a sidewalk, and then if you want to make a left turn, it's very difficult because there's no stop sign or stoplight there. So you want to allow bikes to go the wrong way on sidewalks for some period of time so that they can then make their left turn safely. No right turn on red at busy intersections. And that includes freeway on-ramps and off-ramps, as well as busy streets like De Anza and Stelling and Stevens Creek. 15-mile-per-hour speed limit for a half-mile radius around schools would be very helpful for all the pedestrians and bikers. And we also suggested closing off car traffic completely to one block around the schools, because the schools are so congested during school drop-off and pickup. It would really disperse that congestion if we just made cars stop one whole block before school. And then we also suggested creating bike and pedestrian throughways. Somebody also suggested that there's a number of neighborhoods where that would be helpful, to where the gates are currently, or there's no opening, but there could be. And that would really help people get through to their destination as a pedestrian or biker without going way out of their way. Redraw school boundaries so that kids can attend the school that's closest to them. That would really help them. And we need, if bikes are required to go on the roads, we need to have them somehow physically separated from the cars for safety reasons. It's just too unsafe otherwise. We need more speed bumps in high traffic areas. One-way car roads around schools would help, and re-engineer McClellan and Stelling. Thank you.
All right, very focused comments. I hope that you leave those with us, or that they're a repeat of what went on in your table, because you have very nice notes. Please come down. You're the next group, and then we'll take our giants and then the other giants. So here you go.
Hello, my name is Eric. We just have a few things maybe that haven't been covered. One of the things, it mentioned the one-way, someone mentioned the one-way, McClellan, Stelling. Maybe doing that just for a time, like 1 hour in the morning. Santa Clara does that, I think, downtown. They change the direction of the street, so that could be a way to help change the traffic. I like the railroad, trying to use that somehow for, to optimize that. I think the bus idea in the Monte Vista area is good. Maybe having drop-off areas where you can drop the buses can go to a drop-off area and get the kids and go. So part of the bus idea. Some of the times we noticed is the comment, sometimes the drivers that maybe aren't as safe as they should be seem to be parents. I'm not saying anybody here, but it's not 16-year-old teenagers necessarily that are driving a little too fast, or so maybe some parent education would help as well. And we have some, in the congested area down there, one idea was maybe trying to utilize some of the, Seven Springs is kind of a closed area, but if some of the traffic could move through there to help relieve some of the traffic congestion on other roads, that's another idea. And all the other ideas, great ideas, those are some that we wanted to highlight. Thank you.
That was great, very nicely done. Okay, Mr. Giants fan, and then this group knows who's going to speak. Okay, there we go.
Hi, my name is Jatin. I represent this table. First of all, I wanted to thank the city for this workshop. I think it's been really fantastic. Thank you. I also wanted to thank our facilitators, Lou and Rebecca. They did a fantastic job working with us, taking fantastic notes, so thank you. A lot of things we discussed at our table have been covered already, but I will touch on a few things. First of all, our table felt that we need trucks only on De Anza and Stelling, not anywhere else. So a lot of people talked about trucks not on the streets during this time and that time. We feel they should be restricted only to De Anza and Stelling, the big roads. We also felt that a lot of traffic in the Rednot, Lincoln, Kennedy area is pedestrian traffic is because we cannot cross the railroads. So we would like to see if there is a bridge can be built across the railroad that can alleviate a lot of pedestrian traffic. It has been mentioned a few times that making the streets one way. I think our one of the solution recommendation was to make Bob and Lincoln one way and then use the other lane for bike. That makes the lanes very wide. We talked about the shuttle buses. We talked about the lighted crosswalks that has been covered earlier. One other thing we would like to see is this workshop was done because of the tragic accident. We would like to see if this kind of workshop can be done yearly, as well as a quarterly communication to all the citizens on this kind of issues. That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so gracious. I loved all those thank yous. That was really very generous of you. Yes, sir.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight. But does anybody actually like that cucumber water they're serving outside? My name is Preston, biker, boarder, driver, and pedestrian. Graduated Monte Vista 2013, going to Santa Clara now. Thank you. I'm sorry we're here discussing this tragic and destructive issue, but at the same time, I'm truly happy that I can see the community that I've grown up with come together and just become stronger. I hope that this accident can be turned into a drive for us to always get more involved and be there for each other. More events like this where we can get involved. Now, the first thing we want in our group, we discuss visibility. We want stop signs, crosswalks, and we want to just, in general, keep streets moving. So we thought of a plan to do bike paths, as many other groups suggested. We've got the Reganar Creek right now, but there's currently no bike trail. We think that a bike trail there and options for pedestrians would really help them out. It would cut through the McClellan and Rainbow Drive traffic. You cut down the traffic overall going to Monte Vista. Most importantly, we want to limit construction. If you guys have noticed, there's been a lot of construction going on your streets right now. I have no idea what it's for, but I think that limiting that and making sure that we keep these streets open and safe for everyone, pedestrians, drivers, bicyclists alike, will be beneficial for everybody, of course. Most importantly, I think education is a great part in this. This is how you guys get involved. Bikers, drivers, walkers, everyone must get involved in the education process. We want to include enforcement too. We want to make sure that the police are present. We want to photograph and tag offenders. Texting and driving is serious, and yet there have still been people that are continuously doing this. Personally, I've even seen cops doing this. You come here now to be a part of the solution, but remember, you have that responsibility to always be a part of that solution every day. Every little thing you do counts. Be that good example for your kids, for your fellow citizens, and our community. And we will not just survive, we will thrive. Thank you.
Nicely done. All right, I believe I had the gentleman in the back that was going to come down. Oh, there he is. Okay. And then who wants to go next? I promised this table. They would go next, and then we'll take this table right here. And then looks like we've got the gentleman in the green, and then the lady in the red behind there, and then I'll pick some more people. Okay, come on down.
So last year in August, I was part of a focus group for the Tree School Monte Vista area in August 2013, and we mentioned the same solutions. So it's clear that the city knows about the problem, knows of the problem for years, and the solution is not to set up more focus group, not to set up discussion, but it's to act. And the responsibility of the city is to reduce the amount of car traffic to the schools by improving the infrastructure around the schools, which is safe sidewalks, safe bike routes, so that we can manage the situations. And we are not traffic engineers, but the city knows the problem. They have traffic sensors, they measure the traffic, and they can act. And they have to act with real solutions, not just meetings on focus groups. That will not solve the problem.
All right, the next group, I believe, was this group right here. So if you would come down, and then I promised the group here that your group, so if you would get on the on-deck circle, that'll keep us going. Then the gentleman who had the green shirt, if you already came down, good job. And then we had the person with the long sleeves, it was maroon behind the green shirt. And then you guys. You're after the maroon shirt. Okay, here you go.
Our group represents out past Foothill Boulevard behind the Oaks and clustered right behind Kennedy Lincoln and Monte Vista. So it was an overall view. There's a lot of concern about sidewalk completion, particularly coming in from the Foothill Boulevard area. Those people don't have a complete series of sidewalks, as well as right at Monte Vista on McClellan. There's one spot there that does not have a sidewalk. We really are concerned about bringing back busing, which has made a big difference. We've lived in our neighborhood since '71, and we've seen the difference on Wilkinson Avenue. You can't make an appointment until school goes in, and I can't ride my bike until school is in. I wouldn't go on the streets myself. We are concerned, of course, everybody's concerned about trucks, but as well as parent driving. We have a lot of congestion coming into the schools. Everybody's in a hurry to get to school, to get the kid there on time, and then get to work. And it adds a high level of concern for any kid on a bike or any child crossing streets or mothers walking their kindergartners with babies. Everyone's concerned, of course, about trucks and what are the truck ordinances and when should they be there. There's been some suggestion by our group as well on how to use the sidewalks. For example, there's no bike lanes on Wilkinson. How can you use the sidewalks? One way for pedestrians, one way for bikers. That's a possibility. I think everybody's covered most things, possibly more blinking intersections where the lights are blinking, more crossing guards where they're needed. Everybody said that already. A big concern I've had for a long time, I even think about it in bed, is why don't the schools coordinate the start times? Why won't they work together and figure that out? And over the years, we've tried to approach them, but they don't communicate between the elementary schools and the high school. And so I think that would help a lot, especially on Wednesdays when everyone's trying to get to the same place at the same time. I think we've covered everything. There's been some concern about having bike rodeos until it's safe to bike. And one more thing. Oh, she had the concern about the buses that are moving, either the Apple or the Google people coming in there, and that's been a big concern for them and their children, in addition to getting across Stevens Creek and then getting over here to the schools. I think we need to add it if I don't see it. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The red, yep, and then the green, and then the long sleeve people in the back that hopefully have moved their way. There you are. Then you're after the green shirt. And then these people who are so excited to go. I love it. Okay, here you go.
Hi, my name is Serbi. I'm a student at Cupertino High School, and I bike to school every day. And one of the main things I've noticed as a biker is that students aren't educated about bike safety. I've never been educated, and we were thinking, if you have to take a test and you're required to pass in order to drive on the road, why shouldn't you be trained to bike on the road? Because it's the same road, you're following the same laws. The only difference is the number of wheels. Another thing, so even people walking, students aren't always paying attention. They're not watching the road when they're crossing the road. So I've seen people on their cell phones. I've seen drivers on their cell phones. And just education can change all of that. So some of our solutions were education. I think the schools could provide some sort of class or training about bikes because of the amount of students that do bike to school. So many schools have Walk One Week, and they encourage the walking and the biking, but it takes 21 days to form a habit, and 1 week is not enough to do that. Also, there are some bike lanes that have been painted green, but I think the ones near the schools need to be painted so the drivers and the bikers know that they're there. Because one thing I've noticed is biking to school for me on Stevens Creek, I have to make a right turn onto Finch, and all the cars do too, but the whole block, the cars are halfway in the bike lane. I can't bike on the bike lane because of the cars that are in there, and I'm forced to go on the sidewalk. And I think painting them green, making them more visible would just make both drivers and bikers more aware of the bike lanes. Anything? We also talked about limiting trucks during school hours and more walkways and different, and we talked about drop-off zones that a little farther away from the school. Like there are businesses that are closed during the beginning, like when school begins, but we're not allowed to be dropped off over there. Those are locations where parents can drop students off. Thank you.
Nice job. Thank you. All right, the green shirt and your team.
Right, my name is Stuart, and our group was all from the Tri-City, the Tri-Schools area, Lincoln, Kennedy, Monte Vista, and we'll throw Regnard in there, so we'll call it quad schools. So first of all, dividing the roadway from the bike lanes, a little bit of, a little tiny piece of paint separating those two, provides no protection for a biker. There needs to be more of a barrier between the bike lanes and the roadways. Warning signs, and changes in the regulations for when trucks can be there. If there's a regulation that says, trucks are not allowed at a certain time or ever, you need signs so that the truck drivers know not to go there. One-way streets, I know in the Tri-Schools area, so, all of you in that area know, McClellan, Bub, Rainbow, one-way traffic on any or all of those roads during school commutes could help a lot. Also speaking of trucks, again, the garbage pickups, that's a huge problem, especially, Bub, and Rainbow when the road is so narrow. It's easy, it should be easy to change schedules like that. Crossing guards, that should be such a simple thing, but it makes the traffic flow so much better if you can just have a crossing guard at the intersections where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic in particular. And then bikes on the sidewalks. Whether it's all the time or just during school commute hours, let the kids go on the sidewalks. I mean, it's just safer. And school buses. I mean, right? Every school bus, that's 40 or 50 cars off the roads, right? I mean, you just think of 10 school buses. You would get rid of most of the cars in that tri-school area, and the kids would be so much safer. I think parents would be a lot happier. Let's bring back school buses. Some other things, just keeping the school crossings, the crosswalks. A lot of times it goes. The crosswalks don't get painted for a few years. Signs, school signs, really simple things. I mean, just, a little bit of paint, improving the sign would really help. Better coordination of road work. Can't road work around schools be done in the summer when there's less traffic? Why, Columbus, for those of you by Kennedy, Columbus Avenue, all summer long, nothing going on, and then right on a school day, we got to go shut down the road for the whole day. And so anyway, those are all ideas. Ways for parents to report problems, bushes or hazards in the road, so that those can be dealt with. Right? Thank you.
Okay, the next group, and then it looks like we have an on-deck circle over here. The lady in the print, are you after them? Great. And then we've got our group over here. Okay.
My name is Heather Moomey, and everyone at our table pretty much focused around, again, the tri-school area. And we all agreed that the major concern is that there are too many cars in a small contained area. Some of our suggestions, most of our suggestions have already been presented, but a few of the highlights were footbridges or bike paths in multiple locations. We talked about one already, but we even considered from Mary over to De Anza College as being an area that really needs to have pedestrians addressed. We also talked about the limiting of trucks, vans, buses in all capacities you've already heard about, including closing down the road and making it just for foot traffic or bicycles. Obviously, buses being provided would be a necessity to that, and that in itself would eliminate the number of cars that are on the road at all times, whether they be school buses or community buses, paid free of charge for students, et cetera, and all the various varieties you've already heard. Key, educate, educate, educate. Yes, I do happen to be a teacher. So it's my main focus anyway, but not only just educating students, but educating parents, because our number one goal is that we need to be good role models for our children. If they see us breaking the rules, why should they follow the rules? We need to set the example. And we need to get our schools invested in the idea that students need to be motivated to want to walk to school or to ride their bike. If we can eliminate the number of cars who go to the schools every day, that would eliminate a lot of the congestion and the concerns that we have. Obviously, modifying the roads in all the high traffic areas in all of the ways that have already been talked about tonight, whether it be making roads a lot wider, adding bike lanes, making bike lanes more visible, etc. But thanks is really going to come when real systemic change happens. And our group sincerely hopes that this endeavor tonight has not been a futile effort. And I will be waiting, oh not so patiently, to see the change. Thank you.
Okay, this group, please. And then we're gonna, go ahead, Bob, you're already organized, I'm getting them down, so if you would. So this blue group, if you're gonna come now. The people next to you, you're next. And then I'd like this corner table to go after that. And then how many other tables still have to go? Okay, so we're probably going to be here till 9:45 if we give everybody 3 minutes. And I appreciate you staying for that because they stayed for you. So we're going to ask you to please stand up and move so that we can keep going quickly. Those of you, so we're doing 1, 2, 3, then the people over here. Go ahead, you'll be 4th, 5th. Okay. Okay, and you're already over there. Great, here you go.
My name is Rose Serio. I'm a 28-year resident of Cupertino. And so I've seen a lot of changes in the roads. In our group, we're represented by the south side of the city, by myself on Byrne Avenue, and you're over where? Foothill and Stevens Creek. So I'm going to go outside the tri-school area and say one of the key points that we wanted to address was Foothill Boulevard and the amount of heavy traffic and large trucks going down that area. Coming back to the schools, though, there's a key problem with McClellan Road. It's the grading. McClellan Road is a hill, and often there are children in the crosswalk from the Monte Vista crosswalk that can't see the cars coming over that graded hill, that higher hill, and the cars can't see the children, so that's a problem. We've already addressed the no bike lane, so we won't go there, and also the public transit. Some of the solutions that we've recommended was, again, widening the streets, the stop signs, traffic lights need to be addressed, smoothing the road out as we just addressed earlier too. And again, there was also a suggestion to make the bike lanes and the crosswalks the same height and keep them off the road to protect the bikers from the cars. Again, talking about education, the real-life rodeo, what we meant by that was instead of doing it on a school grounds, take the children out in smaller groups, obviously, onto the streets and show them real-time traffic hazards and also how to manage riding a bike legally. One of the things that I brought up is I was raised in New Hampshire, and to ride a bicycle in New Hampshire, you had to get a bicycle license. And to get a bicycle license, you had to take a test like the DMV requires you. And if you were caught riding your bike without your bike license, your bike was impounded and your parents had to go pick it up. So it was a lot different, and it really helped with educating both the bicyclists and the parents. What did we say? Again, as we said earlier, cooperation between the schools and the cities, I think, is really imperative. I know there's been conversations that have happened, but I think what's missing in the conversations is a systemic model. We have a real boon in our population and in both housing and students. There needs to be a systemic plan put in place to address the increase in traffic, the increase in students, and how are we going to manage our streets and key into the key areas that are critical for safety and for transportation. I think that was about it. I think we got it.
Perfect, thank you. All right, the blue group. I feel like the blue man group, but it's both. And you're actually in purple.
That way you know where I'm from. Okay, I come from a very enthusiastic table, and so I tried to remind them there's no way I can cover everything they came up with. So in terms of solutions, I'll try to focus on some ones I think we have a little different twist. All the others will be captured and recorded to you. So instead of, there's many places where there's unprotected left turns and free right turns. These aggravate existing traffic issues, and these can be studied and addressed. I think Stelling and Rainbow is one point. The timing of the signal at McClellan Stelling, another gridlock in the morning. Whatever timing is provided for the rest of the day, it needs to be re-engineered for the morning. It doesn't time well. Improved exit paths. One of the issues is, especially in the Bub McClellan area, is that everyone's trying to get to 3 very close places, and then everyone's trying to get back out on the same roads. There are possibilities to bring people in some ways and bring them out on other roads, and that's one thing that you could think of. I'm actually going to go to the 3rd page. Okay, so this was touched on, but education and training, the specific suggestions people had was start young, elementary school. There were talks about training. Helmets and lights should be mandatory. This time of year, a lot of kids have after-school activities and bike home late. The helmets, and this is key, bike education and road sharing education, the bicyclists need to be reminded constantly that it should not be double biking. It should be single file everywhere, and that's a big problem on these tight roads. Let's see, more incentive, more better drop off, that type of thing. I'd like to come back to here so I don't run out of time. This was touched on. So whatever was covered earlier about the guidelines, one of the things the city can do short term that doesn't cost money is the guidelines need to be moved or changed or modified, improved to hard restrictions when it comes to large trucks in the tri-school area or in any school areas, especially during drop-off and pickup hours. The additional specific wrinkle is that we have a 7-Eleven at Bub and McClellan. I think 7-Eleven could take some action and they could not allow deliveries during morning drop-off, et cetera. I'm sure they wouldn't mind doing that. So in terms of, there were a lot of great suggestions about crosswalks, lights, et cetera. I think each crosswalk, each point where students are crossing needs to be, rather than us say this one needs a crossing guard, this one needs a light, the city needs to look at every single crosswalk at every single school and decide how that crosswalk can be improved. Some need guards, some need the flashing lights like we have out here at Quinlan. There aren't enough of them. There's one in front of Lincoln. I think that's the only one in the tri-school area. Okay, I missed something else. No, I think we got it. Okay. I hope this last one won't get my son kicked out of school. I hate to say it, I'm surprised no one else has said it. In the long term, sorry, I'll try to go 10 seconds. There's too many kids in these schools. All the schools are overcrowded. But especially in the Baldwin McClellan area. And I think the only way that this is going to get addressed is not for us to complain about it, but I think the school districts need to step up and tell the city, there's too many kids at the school. Stop building increased density, especially in the tri-school area. And I call on each principal of the schools at the tri-school area to go on record and admit to their school districts and city council, we have too many students. We need a long-term plan to have less students on the campus. Thank you.
All right, next. Please. Thank you. Nope, nope, there's a table right after you. And then there's about 6 more on this side.
Hi, my name's Eleanor, and this is Alicia. We have just about the same as what everybody else has presented. The only other things that we had covered was to invest in overpasses or underpasses in the, for crosswalk as an alternative. Another idea was to invest in sidewalks before completing the improvements for new development. And enforcement is to target and rotate traffic enforcement in hot spots, and that would include around De Anza College, because there's always a lot of traffic going around there. We wanted to add, besides the crosswalk with the flashing lights, we'd like to see the one that says your speed is, to target the people who drive too fast, and if possible, widening the streets.
Thank you very much. All righty, this group, you're next. And then I think we've got several lined up. This gentleman's going to go next. Who else hasn't been? Please make your way down. Let's take you after this gentleman. We'll take this table and then the people in the back. Here you go.
Hi, my name is George. Pretty much what I'm going to say has been pretty reiterated. There have been some great ideas, and I'm probably going to say the same thing all over. Our concerns are, like, for instance, delivery trucks, which obviously some of them, they're driving too fast, like, I'm sorry to say, but UPS and Federal Express. Large trucks, obviously, like everybody says, keeping them away at least at the time of the, the school hours, because they don't have a great visibility because they're driving a vehicle. As far as cycling, misbehaving. So when I misbehaving, that they have to follow the rules. They say that, we want to share with the cars and the vehicles, but they have to follow the rules. They got to stop at the stop sign, or at least make an effort to stop at the stop sign, and don't blow the red lights. An accident between a bicycle and a vehicle, who's going to lose? Always the bicycle. Obviously, yes, education for drivers and cyclists. Drivers, they need to be educated as well. It's not just the bicycles. It's not just the trucks. It's also the mom and pop who try to want to go to school, and then they want to get to work, and they're in a rush, and just got to start thinking about safety, not just like, okay, I got to be there. I got to be by, XYZ company. Everybody else, yeah, like the crossing guards, there are not enough crossing guards. I don't know how that works exactly, if the school district or the city has to pay for, a certain amount of money, a certain amount for the crossing guards. So in some of the schools, they just don't need one crossing guard, they need two. Better signage for the trucks, the trucks, yeah. As for awareness campaign, distribute bike routes, bike-friendly roads, reduce speed. Like for instance, where the accident happened, it's 30 miles an hour from Stelling to Bub, maybe after doing some engineering, maybe it could be lower to 25, or at least we're in the school hours. So, because that section right there is very congested, it's very narrow. The bike path is one of the narrowest that I've seen before. You get the railroad track, you get the 7-Eleven, you get Kennedy, Lincoln, Monta Vista, and the Ansa College, all combined at the same time. Maybe stagger the time of the bell time, maybe 15, 20 minutes if it's possible. So one has to start earlier, and some other one has to end a little bit later. So, obviously, but yeah, bike safety booth in city events, where festivals and things of that nature, finding bike and safety classes. I'm sorry, we're out of time? So, okay.
Very nice job. Okay, yes, sir.
Thanks to the city for organizing this. Most of our points are already covered, but I just want to reinforce some of them. Like separated bike lanes. It doesn't need to be raising complete road. You just have a small divider so that the cars don't go in and even the bikes don't go out. Neighborhood access across the railroads. Why do all the cars, all the bikes need to come out only one road and congest everywhere? Provide access across the railroad at every point. Drop-off zones. Why do everybody needs to go to the hotspot, but if we can avoid the hotspot, drop off the kids much before, where you can provide before the schools, for each area, for each school, before, maybe a couple of blocks before if you have a drop-off area, so that they can go back from there. Parent volunteers to assist to the drop-off. And other thing is, educate the people, both the students and the parents, live there with signs. Enforcement, I don't think just cops being there and then pull them out, it doesn't help. What I would say is have some signs there and say, okay, you cannot cross into the bike lane. Then I would say parents would be glad to help there, volunteer there. And I think it's one of the person remember that there was a pedestrian bridge across Stevens Creek at Scenic Carmen Road, and it was taken off. So why can't that be back there to avoid all the people coming onto Foothill? And VTA community buses. And, yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Please leave us your notes. Those were great. Okay. Yes, please. And how many more? Do we have one more group after this group? Anybody? Anybody? All right, you might be last. Leslie.
Hi. Oh, darn.
You're the penultimate group.
I'm Leslie, and I would have dressed a little nicer if I knew I'd be up here, but sorry, not used to this. I'm very nervous. I don't know why you guys asked me to do this. So anyway, I started a bike and walk to school program at Kennedy and kind of at Lincoln about 6 years ago. And so this is kind of very close to my heart, everything that happened, and it really affected me. So the things that we really thought were important, pretty much everything has been touched upon. The big thing is more education, especially for the little guys and for all students of all ages and the parents. I think the biggest thing that I wish would happen is that more parents would encourage and allow their kids to walk and bike to school. I know that you're worried that it's not safe, and a lot of it is because there are parents driving, and that's probably the majority of the traffic that's out there. The furthest the kids have to bike in the district, at least I think Saratoga kids, maybe 2 to 3 miles, and that's not that far. And most of the kids live within a mile of school. So that's the biggest thing to me is please help your kids and encourage your kids to walk and bike to school. That's my thing. One big thing also is someone touched upon, but we thought was really important, is getting across the railroad tracks in the neighborhood, the Jollyman Park area. They said that was a real problem, so getting them across the tracks, having some kind of bridge there would be great. And a big thing that I've been trying for years is having bike racks on the Hyannisport side of Kennedy, so the kids don't have to, coming from that side, can just park their bikes on the Hyannisport side and not have to go all the way around to do their bikes. It's just pretty simple solution, and I'm not sure why they haven't been able to do that. It's just yeah, so anyway. We had one thing on the back here, I think, that I might have added at the end. Come on, lady. What did we say? And this is more of a citywide thing, where when they do new construction where there's been no sidewalks before, so there's a lot of places in Cupertino where there are no sidewalks, and they do new homes, new construction, and there's a sidewalk in front of that house, but then there's no sidewalk in the next house. So if there's some way they could continue the sidewalk on, so it would just be easier for people walking too. And anyway, so that's it.
All righty, now our last group. Is there a last group? You're on. Okay, time's a-ticking. All right, well, they're working their way up. Just want to say thank you again for staying. This was terrific. You've given a lot of great suggestions, and I know the staff is all ears. I can see them around the room. And here's our group.
Hello, my name's John Moomey, and we're bringing up the rear, and there's not much more to say. Let's see. The walking school bus, they talked about weekly morning announcements at schools for student walkers and bikers should make eye contact with drivers. What else? Don't allow parents to drop off students in the fire lane near Lawson Middle School. Prohibit parents on school campus unless by appointment and signed in. That's a big problem around Lincoln. The parents, they're called the helicopter parents, and they're really afraid to let go of their kids. My daughter Ashley, where are you? Ashley. She's back there. She has been walking to school by herself since she was in first grade. And my wife and I encourage her to be independent. And the only time she gets a ride to school is when I have to go to school. I have classes at Mission College in West Valley. And so as a matter of convenience, I'm going that way anyhow, I drop her off. And you know, the parents, they go on the school and they hang out for like a half hour with the kid until the kid goes in the classroom, and then they leave. And then in the afternoon, they show up a half hour early, and a lot of them take up 2 or 3 parking spaces. So what they need to do is they need to delineate the parking spaces so that you park between the lines. And in San Jose, they actually ticket you if you're over like 6 inches over the line. That would help out. And also the enforcement of the permit, because a lot of these areas are parking by permit only, and a lot of people don't. My mother-in-law lives right around the corner from Feria, and she's been there for 50 years. And there have been a couple of times when I admitted, Sheriff's still around? I don't want to admit it in front of them. But I've actually crossed over a double yellow line around the traffic to get to her house because you got cars parked in the middle of the road and across her driveway. And I think, I'm not one to tell other people how to raise their kids, but sometimes I think we need to let go and we need to let our children grow up. But anyhow, let's see, what else we got? One of the things we talked about was re-engineering the traffic flow on Bub and Stevens Creek. You know, we live up on Linda Vista Drive, way up there, and to get to the freeway, it's a mile and a half and it takes us 10 minutes because we're sitting at these red lights and you turn from Bub onto Stevens Creek, and then you have to sit. And in the morning, you got traffic coming off of 85, and they're in the middle of the road, and they're blocking traffic, and it backs it up all the way. And what they need to do is they need to synchronize those lights so that, you know, and it's kind of hard because you got Stevens Creek coming down the hill, you got Bub, and they're all flowing, and they all want to get and sit in that traffic on 85 going north. But what they need to do is somehow make it so that traffic flows, because you stop at the red light, you cross the freeway, you stop at another one, and then you go. And they need to just have that flow. And I'm sure it's not rocket science, it's traffic science. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Love your t-shirt, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Okay, what group are you? Okay, great.
So I think tonight almost 90% of the groups talks about on the west side, and there was one girl was going to Cupertino High, and my kid also go to Cupertino High. That's on the east side, and she was almost hit by a car. And now after this accident, I start to drive her to school. So I think that it's equally important on the east side of the city, because along Cupertino High there are also a middle school, there's an elementary school, there was also middle school and elementary school. And in our table there was a lady, and he came from Santa Clara, and I think he left. He brought a very good point that when he go to from Santa Clara, he has to go to Stevens Creek and bypass this 280 and Lawrence Expressway. This, I don't think any parents would have their kids bike through that path, right? So I think the perfect makes sense to make a school bus, because it's belongs to Santa Clara, so it's not only Cupertino City. So I think Cupertino City need to work with Santa Clara City, maybe to set up some bus routes somewhere here. It's extremely important, I think, especially we're considering the Main Street rebuilding and all this Falco general plan amendment with high density housing over there. So I think Cupertino High will be extremely crowded in the years ahead, so we'd better solve the traffic issue now. Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much for being here. Be safe going home tonight, because we did keep you a little late, so don't rush out of here. Be safe, and please check the website so that you can see all the report and what happens to your great suggestions. Thank you very much. Good evening.